When Cody talked about the big picture, he tries to give the impression that he's referring back to the family. In reality, his big picture looks more like this. The true gaslighter can take a little bit of truth, mix it with their big lie to create their reality. Let's get it. Gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victim's mind. Typically, gaslighters are seeking to gain power and control over the other person by distorting reality and forcing them to question their own judgment and intuition. Alright, you know when I was ready to drop this video, I was ready to cook them. I hit that play button and I was cooking the hell out of Cody, and I realized that I wasn't giving anything productive. I was just making fun of this dude for his performance in last week's Sister Wives episode where he kept throwing out gaslighting. You gaslight me, woman. You making me feel bad. You trying to trick me and manipulate me. So I didn't want to do that per se. I still might. I don't know. But I wanted to give something I thought was a little more productive and that maybe could help somebody, something that somebody could be like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it like that, or, you know, whatever. You reminded me that that's what I always thought. Who knows? But the first thing is that when I look at this video, I wanted to talk about 3 points really and how to combat ultimately this foolishness that you may face in your personal life, because that's what I like to do, talk about sister wives and try to brush this reality show foolishness into actual practical life happening skills and events. So when I look at it, I saw in that argument that first we have to have a clear understanding of what it is we're talking about. You ever have one of these conversations where you get in an argument with somebody and they just keep hitting you and hammering you with stuff and you're not really clear about what it is you're fighting for? Why are we arguing? Why are we fighting? You know, or they're arguing about something that doesn't mean anything. And I think that's exactly where Cody was. Cody wasn't clear about what it was he was arguing about. To me, I think that Cody was arguing basically about 3 things. First thing, it had nothing to do with that COVID requirements and what you had to do, the concessions they had to make and the protocols. That wasn't what it was. What he was angry about and what he's been angry with Janelle about is the fact that she continues a relationship with Christine, period, point blank, the end. He's mad that she has somehow found a way to have a relationship with a sister wife that doesn't involve him, and she continues that relationship even though he's at odds with that particular ex-sister wife, that ex-girlfriend. You're still her friend? You still call her what? I don't like that. 2, he's mad when it comes to that and that what he's mad about. 2, he's mad about the fact that he instructed her to purchase Christine's house because he thought that house was valuable because it's not that far from Coyote Pass. And what I understand, that's an up and coming area that he could make a lot of money if he were to rent that house out. So he wanted to buy that house as an investment property. And that's why he was okay with Christine getting it, because ultimately it was going to benefit him. So he was okay with Christine getting it. And then when Christine decided to take her house and move on down the road, he was upset about it because there was an opportunity for Janelle to purchase that home, and she didn't like that home, and she didn't want to purchase that home for herself. This chick just messed around and started thinking for herself. Who does she think she is? A person or something? And 3, with regard to that, like I said, she wasn't following instructions. So it was those basic 3 things. Friendship with Christine, she's arguing because she didn't make the investment that he wanted to make as far as Christine's stuff. And 3, ultimately, bottom line, point blank, the end, she wasn't doing what he told her to do. So therefore, she's not being loyal, she's not being faithful, she's not being honorable, and she's not being honest to him. And that's what it came down to. So I want to cover those things, and I want to use like I said, the sister wives clips to back up what I'm saying, because you know, James, I bring the receipts. And before I get into it, I would simply ask that if you guys get anything from my contact, you like what I'm doing, you want to help me out, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. Show me some love, player. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? It's easy to do. And plus, guess what, y'all? It's free. One of my favorite 4-letter F words, free. You can hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out, helps me out. And hey, who doesn't want to help a brother out? So go ahead and give me that HBO special. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and you will be notified when I drop videos just like this. And when I go live. Hopefully soon. I know I keep promising. I feel bad about not going live already, but I'm coming and y'all can come with me. So get on board, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notification, HBO special. Let's get it. Now, what I want to say right now is Kody is a coward. Kody is a coward. And you can see a lot of the similarities between how he broke up with Mary, to how he broke up with Christine, to how he broke up with Janelle. One thing is consistent throughout. Kody is a coward. And I know when I say this, what Kody's response is going to be. Coward, I ain't afraid of nothing but poverty. Because I don't know why he says it like that. He think he Clint Eastwood or something. You think you sound cool, it sounds ridiculous. Stop saying it. Stop saying it. There are certain instances where you could say that and it works, but when you're talking about your wife and you're talking about your treatment of your wife, you sound ridiculous. Stop saying Stop saying that. She knows you're scared. I know you're scared. But this is what Kody had to say when he was breaking up with Christine, and I think it's applicable to his breakup with Janelle, or at least the dissolution and the argument that they had over this last episode.
Yeah, it's not working, and I didn't want to quit. I wasn't a coward. I didn't want to quit. I didn't want a divorce on my record here.
See, the problem is he had already quit. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, he had already quit, and the gaslighting comes in because Janelle was struggling to try to find reasons to say that he was gaslighting and point out why he was gaslighting. I don't have that same affliction. I can point it out. The struggle is this: quitting and is you no longer participating in an activity that you had agreed upon that you were going to participate in until completion. That's quitting. When you leave early, you take your ball and go home. Now, in your relationships, you quit the relationship. You might not have broke up or decided to walk out or pack your bags up, but you weren't coming around. You weren't involved. You basically abandoned your wives. You abandoned your wives. So therefore, when you abandoned your wives, you quit. And part of the reason why you quit is because you couldn't face the truth. You couldn't handle having the actual conversation. And this is why I said it's so important that you be very clear about what it is you're arguing about and what your disagreement is about. Because it's easy for me to be mad about one thing, and we've all been in that situation with somebody where they're mad about one thing and then they come and want to argue with you about something that has nothing to do with nothing and they don't care about. And the reason they do that is because they're mad about this one thing, and they either feel stupid about being mad about that one thing because it's stupid for you to be mad about that one thing, or it shows a weakness or a slight of character for you to be mad about that. He's mad about Christine. It shows that he's jealous. As much as he puts out about the evils of jealousy and how all the wives are so jealous of one another and how it's destroying the family, he's jealous of Christine leaving the place and the relationship that Christine has with Janelle, and he's destroying the family because of his jealousy. Why? Because he can't admit the truth. You're jealous and you're upset that she left. You're jealous that you can no longer take advantage of her and manipulate her and get her to do the things you want her to do to benefit you and Lady Robin. She's not feeding into your bullcrap. There's no point in you being kings, or in your case, gods, if you have nobody to lord over. So you need servants when you go to the promised land. You need servants here on earth. And Christine no longer wanted to be your servant. Janelle is getting to the point where she no longer wants to service you. So you have a problem with that. True courage is you standing there saying, this is why I'm hurt. Christine left. I am upset because I want her back. Let's pretend you actually did love her and you actually cared about her. I want her back. I want to treat her right. And I realize I made mistakes and I did the wrong thing. Courage is you being open-minded enough to listen to the response. Janelle, I'm mad. I want you to stop hanging out with Christine. Kody, no. Christine is my friend. I get a lot from Christine. I have a history with Christine. Christine is important to me. Although she's not important to you, and I can try to shield you, and I'll respect you enough to not try to mix and mingle, not bring her around when you come around, but I'm not going to end my relationship with her. That you would have to deal with that. That would be courage, act of courage. Next, when we look at it and we talk about some of the things that he was accusing Janelle of, one of the things that he kept throwing out was the idea of accountability. He kept saying, oh, well, you're not accountable. You need to be accountable for the things that you have. Here's an example of Cody's accountability. Because we're talking about Christine, let's talk about Christine. Let's talk about his accountability and what he thinks his accountability was as far as his relationship falling apart with his now ex-wife, Christine. And this question was asked by his brother when they went out for their boys' night out. So he's talking to the fellas, no reason to lie, no reason to deceive, and no reason to gaslight. Let's take a listen.
Like, what would you have done different to save the marriage?
There was one time in my life when I realized the biggest mistake I made.
Okay.
Christine was kind of in this disconnect situation where she was telling me how much she hated polygamy.
Wow. He admitted that he made a mistake. But if you step back and take a listen to what he's actually saying, is that ultimately he's saying that he made a mistake in the way he was dealing with the failure of Christine's character. Christine was talking about illogically why this relationship doesn't work. Well, lady, if you think about it logically, then this relationship doesn't work. Because without this relationship, you wouldn't have me. You wouldn't have the family. Your life wouldn't be what it was or what it is. The very reason why you're sad would not exist. And that's my logical answer. So this is me struggling, sacrificing, giving up things and taking it in the kidney because I'm dealing with somebody who is illogical and is ultimately at fault for the breakup. So even though he's supposedly taking accountability and responsibility for the relationship and what his mistake was I didn't treat her mistake properly. I didn't handle her shortcomings effectively. That's not a true, I made a mistake. That's, she was screwing up and I couldn't adjust enough to cover up her screw up. Let's continue to his second part of his actual answer of how he should have responded.
And my mistake was when she was saying, I hate polygamy, I was going, what the hell? You wouldn't have a family. You wouldn't have me. You wouldn't have our children. Instead of saying, I know it's hard, baby. I'm sorry. I love you. And I wish it didn't hurt.
So ultimately, his mistake was, I didn't manipulate her properly. What the? And this is what, in context of him calling Janelle a gaslighter, in context of him saying that Janelle is a liar and she's dishonest, I didn't manipulate her properly. When she came to me with these problems and issues, I should have said, instead of giving her the raw facts the honest way and giving it to her shooting from the hip like a true cowboy, because you know I ain't afraid of nothing but piracy. Pew, pew. Instead of doing that, I should have said, I understand your problems. Look here, little girl, let me pat you on the head and send you on your way because I get it. That's what the way he sees it. And that's part of the problem. Kody addresses these women like they're children. He treats them like they're kids. And the way he talks to them like they're kids. He doesn't talk to them like they're partners. He talks to them like he's their parent. And that's a ridiculous form of conducting and dealing with relationships. Now let's listen to the real, because I like to get both sides of the story. I want to hear what Christine had to say with regard to why the relationship fell apart and the things that she needed. And let's see which one makes more sense to us.
No, it wasn't just hating polygamy. It was realizing that after I gave so much, and I did anything he wanted, and anything he wanted me to do, I did. But when I needed help, he said no. They're not just my kids and my responsibility. They're our children.
See, Christine take you to church. Like, this is her church season. They ought to call her Sermon Christine, because she be dropping up facts. She be speaking the word. Look, what she said was essentially, and I appreciate like a little shortcut. Like the giggle, like, that's not what it was. That's not why. That's not why I left. Oh yeah, she left because the French toast was a little burnt and a little crispy. No, it was the roaches on the counter. I saw a rat in the corner read a newspaper. I decided this might not be the restaurant I want to feature at. I want to frequent. This is ridiculous. Like, the whole idea is that Christine dropped it from the other side. She said, look, it wasn't the fact I had a problem with polygamy. I had a problem with the fact that I wasn't getting my needs met. I had a problem with the fact that even though I married one man and I understand that I have to share that man, I expected to share him. I expected to have my share of his time. I had expected to have my share of his attention. I didn't expect to just get pushed aside, swept under the rug, put in a closet, and put up and put away, and he go off with somebody else. And then when I complain about, hey, you're not coming by to see me, you're not spending time with my kids, you're not giving me the things I need, hey, will you help me? And he turns around and says, no, you just don't know how to do polygamy, lady. That's not what she was talking about. What she's talking about is the fact that you're not there and you weren't contributing to her. She's talking about the idea that she wanted to actually have a husband and a relationship. She understood it was going to be limited, but she didn't understand that it was going to be zeroed out. And again, that's an act of courage. The act of courage would be for you to look at yourself and say, you know where I messed up? I wasn't giving Christine all the stuff she needed. I wasn't there for her the way that she needed me to be there for her. And the way I'm going to conduct my relationships moving forward is I'm going to try my best to give my wives everything that they need. If they need more time and attention, I need to figure out how to, if I can't spend more time and attention with them, and quantity-wise, then I need to make sure that I improve the quality of attention and time that I'm spending with them and their kids. And I need to start showing her that this relationship is something that she wants to be involved with. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to lose another wife. And to me, that would have been some growth, that would have showed courage, that would have been bravery in and of itself, and it would have very well and most likely would have saved him from losing his relationship. There are a lot of people who are so anxious to blame that other person that they don't want to look at their own accountability and their own responsibility as to why relationships are falling apart. And those relationships that they have will continue to fall apart for that reason. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the very nature of what happened. When you start off in these types of relationships, and we look at like even Kody and Janelle's situation, Kody came there looking for a fight. He already was mad and he was already upset and he was already geared up and ready to go. He wasn't on ready. He was on ready, set, and he was on go. Janelle, she's sitting there, didn't even know she was racing. This is like two cars pulling up to a stoplight. Then all of a sudden a light turned green. The dude look over, hit you with the finger and burn out and then take off down the road. I didn't even know we was racing. What's going on? I beat you, give me your pink slip. What are you talking about? We was racing? What? That's where Janelle was. And this gives a distinct advantage to the person who comes there for that reason. This is a situation that you can find yourself in. You'll be sitting there minding your business thinking you're going to go talk to somebody. You get over there to talk to them. Then all of a sudden they barking and hooping and hollering and yelling at you and screaming at you about this stuff. And you had no idea that you was arguing. And this is where it gets kind of messed up, because on one side, you ever have that situation where you have a disagreement with somebody and you go away and you say, damn, I should have said this, I should have said that, I could have did this, and I would have did this verbal jujitsu move on them and it would have tore them up. Oh my goodness, it would have been amazing. You ever do that? I've done that. Everybody's done that. The truth of the matter is that goes both ways. In Janelle's sense, because she got caught flat-footed, she probably will be sitting there thinking, oh, if I'd have said this, said that. When we watched that first episode of that last season when Cody got up and he started hooping and hollering at Christine, and we were all sitting there like, oh, she should have said this, she should have said that. The truth of the matter is you can't argue with crazy. The problem with arguing with crazy is crazy people, and this isn't a psychology book that's not in the DSM, it's nowhere near actual psychology. In fact, if you're ever talking to a psychologist and he says, you're crazy, that's not a diagnosis, okay? But as a common layperson, when we use the word crazy, what is crazy? Crazy is somebody who is disassociated from reality and they don't understand what actual facts and evidence and what's really happening in the world. So they come up with their own fictitious, imaginative world. That's you in this argument. That's Janelle in this argument. She's in an argument with somebody who will say things that has no bearing on any real substantive thing that's going on in her life. So she can't win that argument, no matter what point she makes. Not to mention, Kody comes in, he's ready to give the relationship and bring it to an end. He's ready. If she's not going to do what I want, the way I want, how I want, when I want, where I want, and with whom I want, then she needs to go. If he comes in with that energy, Janelle's trying to save the relationship the entire time. She has to ramp up to the last part where she give him the big F you on the way out the door. And she tell him to shut the hell up. She had to ramp up to that point. The whole time when he's sitting up there saying, well, give me an example. Tell me what this, tell me what that. All of us know when we're in these relationships, we got buttons that we can push that would end the relationship instantaneously. We'll win the argument, but we'll lose that relationship. You know what I mean? You can either win or be in a relationship. You can't have both sometimes, right? We all know that. And Janelle finds herself in a situation, and this happens to a lot of people, where you're not prepared to end a relationship because you don't know where this is going. You don't know what the destination is. The flip side to that, Kody, when he was breaking up with Janelle and he was looking at her, or when he was breaking up with Christine, he felt that energy. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, because ultimately when you have that, I should have said this, I should have done this is the way I should have did it, and it would have been so much better for me, and now I'm meeting with her at the restaurant and she gets to pretend like she don't care about the relationship and how it worked out, all this, that, other. This is a way for him to redo that argument. And how do I know he was going to redo the argument? Let's take a listen, because I bring the receipts.
It's like, I see the writing on the wall. This whole thing happened with Christine, and I don't want to be in that place with Janelle. It feels like Janelle's been completely insensitive to that.
All right, so as I mentioned, he came there looking for a fight because remember, like I said, there's always that time where you say, I wish I would have said that. This is his opportunity to do that. He's now going to do it to Janelle because he doesn't want to be in a situation like he said where Janelle decides she's done with him. She packs his stuff up and she moves on, and he has to sit there and look sorry and sad and mopey and crying and upset, walking around angry. So now he's going to try to get some get back before the offending offense actually happens. And that's what I see in this situation. So that's why I think he came in at about a 7, because like I said, there was a slight opportunity where they could have worked it out. And if Janelle would have played along, then they could have worked it out. This is kind of that decision-making part of it, because you'll have people in your life, and I've had people in my life, who will come in and they basically give you an ultimatum. If you want this relationship to work, then you have to forsake everything that you are and basically do what I want you to do. You can no longer be you. You have to be what I find acceptable for you to be in order for us to maintain this relationship. I choose not to live my life that way. So for me, that's a relationship I have to let go. But he's putting it out there. If you want this relationship to work, if you want this marriage to work, then you have to be willing to take what I give you. And if you don't, then this relationship isn't going to work. And Janelle not wanting to see it and not seeing it is trying to save the relationship. But unfortunately, you can't save something that the other person doesn't want to save, because the only way relationships work is that both people want to be involved in them. Look at Mary. She was so desperate to try to be in that relationship with Kody. If he doesn't want to be in a relationship with her, all the nice things that she does, all the concessions that she makes, and Mary has made a lot of concessions, whether you like her, love her, hate her, Mary has made a lot of concessions to try to be with Kody. And all those concessions have gone unrequited. He doesn't care how much she sacrifices or what she gives. He just doesn't care. And it's sad. It's in a lot of ways, it's sad to watch. Like I said, I don't care what you think about Mary. That's just a sad situation to watch. And here's the other part of the misplaced argument. When you think about Janelle being involved with him and them talking about the united front and how to deal with the kids and how to parent the kids, because that's one of the facades he used. Oh, the kids aren't respecting me and we need to work together. Let's take a listen to what he had to say with regard to Janelle and him co-parenting the children.
Do you understand that parents are supposed to make a united front?
I'm now being accused of everything he just accused Christine of, and a lot of what he accused Mary of.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, Kody is actually coming out and he's making the comparison. This is him ramping up and getting ready to reduce Janelle the same way he's reduced Mary and the same way he reduced Christine. She sees it as, oh, he's trying to force me out the door. He's not trying to force you out the door. He doesn't want Mary to leave. He really doesn't want Christine to leave. He just don't want Mary to call him no more. He wants Mary to keep sending them checks. And he wants TLC to keep depositing Mary's portion of the TLC check into the family account. The same thing with Christine. He doesn't mind that Christine is off doing whatever she wants to do by herself, where she's doing it at. He just wants to have control of the house and her assets. When it comes to Janelle, same. He doesn't mind that, Janelle's sitting in that apartment. He's just mad that Janelle is talking about building on his land. And she keeps asking questions about when we're going to build the houses that we promised that we were going to build when I gave the money. Like, this guy is a bad investment all the way around. So we have to take all that into account. Let's listen to him, because when he was talking to Mary, Christine, and now he's talking to Janelle, let's listen to some of the things that he said that he was so upset about. When he broke up with Janelle and Christine, and Christine was getting ready to leave, let's listen to his performance, a part of his performance on the stage, because you can learn a lot from somebody by how they treat other people and the things that they get mad at with other people. Let's listen to what he had to say.
You never tried to have a really good relationship with these other people. And that's the reason I'm pissed off.
That's not true.
And it's just
I did.
vomiting out of me because I've sat here with it just like, Christine, try and do this. You wanted to renegotiate a relationship with me, but you wouldn't even have a decent one with them.
Now, this again is one of those gaslighting techniques. Oh, you try to make it all about me. You didn't consider the family, the big picture. You try to have a relationship with these other people, Christine. Christine, you never try to be friends with any of these other women, Christine. You didn't try to build a relationship with them. You kept trying to have a relationship with me and negotiate the relationship with me. Okay, so step back. What does that mean? If I'm sitting there listening to him, if this is a job interview or a job situation, and I'm listening to my coworker get bawled out because she didn't try to build relationships with the other team members and she kept trying to build a relationship with the manager, then I would say, okay, one of the most important things is I build a bond with the team members. But because I'm a person and I do have a sense of loyalty, I do have a sense of commitment and friendship, I do have a sense of honor and character and integrity, that if I call somebody my friend, that person is my friend, and I have a genuine relationship with that person. I have a genuine relationship with that person and a connection with that person. So when Janelle develops a genuine friendship with Christine and a genuine relationship with Christine, she's now being criticized because she has that relationship. How dare you have a relationship with anybody but me? Even though I yelled at Christine for always putting me first and always trying to be in my orbit and be around me, how dare you go out and do the very thing the opposite of what I yelled at Christine about not doing. So you were doing the thing that you said Christine wasn't doing, but I'm mad at you both and treating you both the same way. It's ridiculous. This is a form of gaslighting. This is a form, and we can call it gaslighting, whatever, but I like to be frank and I like to keep it simple. This is just lying. You're a liar. That's why I call them the cowardly liar. Now, when we look at it, because I brought them receipts, let's listen to what Cody had to say to Janelle when he was talking to her in season 16 about that relationship, or season 17. He was talking to Janelle about the relationship between Christine and her and the sister wives, and make sure you have a good relationship with the other sister wives.
Can you explain to me why at this point in this juncture, and maybe it's simple, but can you explain it, why it's easier to have a relationship with Christine than it is to have a relationship with Robin?
Well, I
at
mean,
this
Christine
juncture?
and I have a relationship, but a lot of it's just history, the kids in common and history. And she was there when the kids were little. I just really haven't had that much opportunity to interact with Robin on a daily basis like that. Christine and I were kind of stuck together.
What did he say? He said, I don't understand why you can have a relationship with Christine and you can't have one with Robin. So the relationship should be disposable? I should be able to just flip them on and flip them off based on who gets along with you? So then technically, I don't have a relationship. Wouldn't that be a thing? If my relationship with somebody was relying on my relationship with you, I don't have a relationship with that person. I have a relationship with you. And these are your relationships to manage. If Janelle went along with that ideation or that mindset, then she wouldn't get along with Mary she would get along with Mary up until the point that Kody no longer got along with Mary, which means that she never got along with Mary. She would get along with Christine up until the point that Kody no longer gets along with Christine, in which case she never had a relationship with Christine. So if she did the same thing with Robin, and it was based on whether Kody likes her or not, she wouldn't have a genuine relationship with Robin. And you ask yourself, why don't these women trust each other? Why don't they have relationships? How can Christine sit on the porch and say, I don't want to have a relationship with you beyond this relationship right now? I don't want to reach out to you and talk to you on the phone after I walk away from this conversation because we don't have a relationship. We'll have the same relationship we had before this conversation started. And all of a sudden, Christine is wrong and evil because she said the truth. This is how he wanted these relationships to be conducted. He wanted the relationships to all flow through him and surround him because he's scared, he's a coward, and he's insecure. But these women can't be independent, strong enough, or intelligent enough to decide who they want to associate with and why they associate with them and how long. Christine and Janelle, they didn't start off as best friends. They started off in a situationship. They were in a situation which drew them together. Basically, they were married to the same man. They had kids. Kody don't take care of kids, so they relied on one another. And through that hardship and struggle, they developed a friendship and a relationship. Or I should say they developed a relationship because they needed one another. And based on that relationship, and because of that relationship and the time and experience that they invested in one another, they developed a friendship. And because they have a friendship now, they can't turn their backs on one another because that would make you kind of a shitty friend. So I don't get that. And I understand that Kody is going to say that, oh, that's just Janelle talking. That's just Christine. That's not what happened. Nobody believe that. But again, you talking to James. James, he bring those, what is that thing called again? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's called the receipts. Let's listen to another person who is a third-party independent person who is in the situation and can tell us what actually happened.
Christine, as far as our family goes, not as a diss to any of the other moms, is our primary caregiver. From our youngest age, Christine has been the one to provide for 7 kids at a time, all the time.
Oops.
It hasn't been that way since we moved to Las Vegas.
I understand, but people have been always coming over. I used to go visit her 2 times a week.
And so, what are you...
I just think like I can understand why this would have she would have a harder time with this than the other moms.
In case those who don't know, this is his son with Janelle, who is talking about Christine during the time when Kody was trying to put the COVID restrictions in. I do like the fact that when Gabe stated, no offense to the other moms, no offense to my mom, no offense to Mary, no offense to Robin, but Christine is the mom who was there and took care of us the most. And Kody's argument, no, she didn't. Yeah, she did. What are you talking about? So you don't even know? That's problematic in and of itself. People who sit there and say that they don't know things all the time and think that they have this cover of ignorance, you can't sit there and say that you don't know something you should know. You guys were living in the same house and you didn't know Christine was watching the kids most of the time? Are you stupid? Like, what is going on? You don't know that your wife is watching your kids most of the time or had all the kids or what the daycare arrangement was? You know Robin's daycare arrangement, which is ridiculous. And I also appreciate the fact that he's standing out there when he gets caught. Well, she didn't watch him in Vegas. I was always over at her house. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't officially watching this, but I was at her house all the time, getting something to eat at least twice a week. Anytime somebody gets you on the stutter strip, you know what I mean, you're done. You're done. Just give it up, bro. It's over. When you start stuttering, where were you at last night? I was at the... Because anything that come out out of your mouth after that is pretty much either a lie, a denial, or you just gonna go back to, I had no idea. So it's established that this is the relationship that Janelle and Christine have had. Okay, fine. Christine was there. She was dealing with it. How much weight and pressure does Kody put on Janelle? Is he sitting there saying that it's her responsibility to make sure that the boys call him? We have to keep in mind, we have to keep something in mind. Janelle didn't hatch these kids by herself. Janelle had these children with a man she considered to be her husband, her partner. They are supposed that those kids aren't Janelle's responsibility. Those kids are both of their responsibility. Both of them took part in making sure that these kids both came about, that they should be taken care of, and they have everything they need. This is how Janelle describes that relationship.
You know, it still surprises me that Kody feels like it's my responsibility to facilitate this relationship between he and my children. He's a parent as much as I am.
He's a parent as much as I am. This is something that was also shared by Christine. It amazes me, and it's something that I kind of riffed on previously when I was doing the sister wife reviews and I would talk about in the reactions, is that Kody puts so much weight on these women. They're responsible not just for the daycare and providing for them in that instance. They're responsible for the food, feeding these kids. They're responsible for their clothes. They're responsible for their medical bills. The wives, when Madison had a emergency appendectomy, Janelle had to file for bankruptcy because she had to figure out how to pay for that appendectomy. When Christine's child, Isabel, needed to get her back done, she had to figure out how to pay for that, for her back surgery by herself. When Truly got sick, Christine had to come up with the money to figure out how to pay for her kidney failure and her time in the hospital, which would have been ridiculous. And Kody just does this hands-off approach, but he wants to be respected as the father. That's part of the reason why so many people have a problem with him. That's why I have a problem with him. Because people may look at me and say, well, James, you're so hard on Kody. You're so mean and nasty. You're always on Janelle and Christine's side. I'm looking at it from a man's point of view, from a guy's point of view, from a point of view of a father. If these are my kids, it's my responsibility to make sure that my kids are okay. I'm not going to put this on nobody else. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't see it that way. I just don't see it as, oh, okay, yeah, they mom got it. It's fine. Oh, yeah, she fine. She got it. Oh, she can't afford to pay the bills. Well, the bills just don't get paid then. She'll figure it out, or she'll have to declare bankruptcy. It'll ruin her financially, but hey, I'm okay because we look at it, and Kody is talking about making all these sacrifices and the big picture and all the sacrifices that these women should make so that to ensure that he can take care of his big picture. The big picture that I see is you had these women driving to Las Vegas in the first season on damn baloney skin tires, blowouts everywhere, and your ass sitting on top of a motorcycle and a convertible luxury car. Since you've been on the show, you've had at least, 4 luxury convertibles, 5 convertible cars. You've had watches. You sit up there talking about how you like expensive watches and all these expensive high-flying things. Your kids get sick. You don't give a damn. Your kids go to college. You don't give a damn. You don't try to figure out how you going to make these payments and how you going to do stuff. You had a kid decide when Mary's child wanted to go off to school. Mary had to figure out how to send her baby to school. When Janelle wanted to send her kids to school, Janelle had to figure out how to do it. When they wanted some place to live, and as much as he's sitting there arguing about Gabe and Garrison being in Janelle's house, let's not forget, she has a younger daughter who at this time during the filming was still in high school. And Kody wasn't breaking his neck to get over there to see her either. So when Janelle says that he doesn't call and he doesn't care or he doesn't contact me to find out what's going on at this house, he's also not calling his daughter. So he's putting it 100% on Janelle's shoulders. That's what I'm talking about with regard to you being a father. If you're going to be a father, if you're going to be a parent who doesn't have custody of your kids or you're trying to co-parent with the mother, you have to be responsible and you have to be involved. It is your responsibility to make sure you have a relationship with your child. Now, I'm not saying that the mom gets a carte blanche pass to run you down and talk crap about you behind your back and tell the kid that you ain't nothing. But at the same time, it's on you to pick up the phone and call your baby. It's on you to make sure that your kid is okay. It's on you to make sure that that relationship stays strong. Because in this clip, we're going to talk about Cody's desire to have his kids call him so that they can apologize. And then he took it back. Again, we're getting back into the gaslighting part of it. Because he said, no, I never said they had to apologize. I just want to have a conversation. I don't want to be an alcoholic. You sound like an alcoholic. You sound like you drank your breakfast, dude. When you sit there and say stuff like this, because ultimately when we talk about this conversation, what was supposed to be the end result of the conversation? They're supposed to call you up, they offended you, they offended the woman that you love, and they criticized you, and you guys just going to talk about it? Oh, I don't want to be like alcoholics. God come to the house and we don't talk about the alcoholism. What does that mean? Typically when you have the conversation, an intervention, that's what it's called. You have the intervention with an alcoholic. The whole purpose of it is to get them to stop drinking. Not so you can figure out what's on the menu. That's the point. So when you have the conversation with your kids about how they treated you and how they hurt people's feelings, what is the conversation result supposed to be to make you feel better and safer about having them over? Is that they're supposed to apologize. I understand that. And I think, you know what?
What kind of conversation could happen without my boys issuing an apology to make it safe for them to get together to have a conversation? The mechanics are the same.
And that's exactly the point. The mechanics are the same. And what trips me out is when we talk about this conversation, because Kody has floated this conversation a few times, but what he fails to recognize is that these boys are grown. And it's at least my understanding that they don't even live in that house anymore. So you're asking your wife, who you keep saying messes up the conversations and the communications between you and your sons. You ask your wife to pick up the phone, call her grown son's house, apartment, a place where they're staying, to convey the message that you said she had messed up previously. Why don't you take it upon yourself to pick up the phone and call them directly? I don't understand that. And what's trippy to me is, as much as he sat there and criticized Janelle for gaslighting, what would gaslighting be? Taking the truth and trying to turn it into something else. This is why it's so weird that Mary and Robin even get involved with a lot of the stuff that happens with Janelle. You can't have an opinion. Why can't you have an opinion? Because of this right here.
The boys aren't talking to me.
Have you tried?
What?
Yeah, I've reached out to basically everybody.
Oh.
They're making up stories in their mind because they're not talking to me. So everybody's got some story about how dad's a bad guy, but we're just having two groups of Christmas. Hey, listen, I was threatening to do this last Christmas.
So in his assessment, the boys try to talk bad about me and make me feel bad about myself. Emotions, emotions, emotions. And this is what he criticized Christine about earlier, if you recall. Funny to me. Second thing that's kind of funny to me. If you notice, Mary cut right to the chase. Did you try to call him? Because these kids don't live with Janelle. They're adults. So if you have a problem with them, the man thing to do is for you to call another man and say, yo, what's up? I hear this is what's going on. Let's meet up. Let's talk. If they don't pick up the phone, these are your kids. Show up at their place. Show up to their house. Knock on the door. Hey, man, come on. You want to step outside real quick so we can have a conversation? I want to find out why you're not calling me back, what the issue is, so we can resolve it, get it out the way. You know what I mean? Tell me what I did wrong. And we can have a conversation. I'll give you my side. I'll listen to you. Give me your side. And we'll try to work it out. I want to have a relationship with you. I don't think that this is too big or so big that we can't continue to talk. The reason why he's having this disagreement is because he wasn't showing interest in these boys. That's why they're mad. So you continuing to go through Janelle is not a good look. Because they're still mad. Because you're not paying attention to them. And this is a way for you to continue to not pay attention to them and then make them beg you to come back. And then what kind of man and what kind of child are you raising? If you want a man to come and beg for a relationship from somebody who doesn't want to be in a relationship with him, what kind of man are you raising? So you should be proud of the fact that they have enough dignity and pride in themselves that they're not going to come beg you to have a relationship with you. If you don't want to have a relationship with them, if you can't take the time to pick up the phone or call them, then they don't want to bother you or trouble you. Don't press yourself. Don't worry about it. And that's the position that it seems to me that they're taking. But if you want to say that, no, I care about you and I want to have this conversation with you, then you should pick up the phone and call them. But again, let's keep in mind, he said to Robin and Mary that he's been calling and trying to get in touch with them, and they haven't been responding. But that's not the same story he said to Janelle. Wouldn't that be gaslighting? Let's take a listen to what he said to Janelle, because maybe it's me, maybe it's my memory is messed up.
See, you always,
You're not
you always
representing
feel,
very well for
you
me.
put
Stop
this back.
representing
You
for
put
me.
it. Well, then you call them, Cody, because you always put it back on me.
That phone goes
You-
both ways,
you
and
put
I've
it
been
back
available
on
to
me.
talk to them.
Oh, that phone goes both ways, and I've been available to talk to them. So if they want to call me, I'm available for them to call me. But they have to call me. Look, you're not a prima donna. I don't know why you do this to yourself. You're not that guy. Like Cody, the crazy thing about Cody, and one of the more unpleasant things about Cody, makes him a little more dislikable, is that Cody kind of has the air that he is way more important than he actually is. He pretends to be way richer than he is. He pretends to be way better looking than he is. He pretends to be more fun than he is. And more importantly, he pretends to be way more important than he actually is. These kids are figuring out that they don't need you. Christine, your wife, figured out that she didn't need you around. And she figured out this thing, not because, you were doing so much for her and she just went out and she met up with some independent, modern women or whatever you manosphere people call them. And she got brainwashed. She figured out that she didn't need you because you weren't around. Janelle is independent the way she is, and she doesn't do what you want her to do blindfolded and without question because you weren't around and she had to do these things for herself. So therefore, she felt independence because she was, in fact, independent, not necessarily by choice, but by necessity. And that's the very subtle difference. And in this, when you're sitting around accusing Janelle, in a conversation with Janelle about gaslighting, you directly went over to Mary and Robin and you completely gaslit that whole situation. You're gaslighting them because people who do a thing will continue to do a thing. This is what Janelle had to say with regard to the whole gaslighting incident and the way she felt that the gaslighting thing was being pushed around and labeled on her when it actually should go right back on to Cody.
It's wild to me that you think I lied because I think you're manipulating.
Well, tell me how I'm manipulating. Oh, no. Tell the whole world. Tell the world. And then go hang out with your buddy Christine. Tell the world how I've lied, how I've manipulated, how I've done you wrong.
And again, this is a point where I don't think Janelle was directly prepared to go right toe-to-toe with Cody because she didn't want to burn the bridge. She was trying to save the relationship by allowing Cody to save face. Now, keep in mind, as much as we may sit here and celebrate and cheer her having these big blowout arguments with her then husband, quote-unquote husband, we have to keep in mind that this is her relationship. This is her life. So she doesn't necessarily want to blow or torch her relationship because it'll give us gratification and, we'll sit there and be like, yes, smoking, that's for us. But she has to live in that world that she creates, or more to the point, she has to live in that world that she destroys or participates in the destruction of. So with that being said, I think that Janelle was very hesitant about pulling tapes on what Cody has done to tear the family down, to make it hypocritical. I'm not. I don't have that limitation because this isn't my world. So I get to do whatever I want. Freedom, baby, freedom. So in this instance, I'm going to pull a clip because Cody had directly criticized her because she sat on the couch and she criticized him and said a bunch of stuff behind his back that she never said to his face. I guarantee you that in this particular clip, this is something that he never said directly to Janelle to her face. Let's take a listen.
I'm not going to break my back to work for you when you don't respect me. I'm just not. Janelle needs somebody who'll break their back to get this project done, and that's not me right now.
Now, if you keep in mind, if you've ever seen that episode, this was actually in season 17, where Janelle, you notice she had the little plans for a house in her hand, and she was talking about building on the property. He sat there and was like, okay, yeah, we do that, okay. And he was doing that go along gang stuff. He wasn't super excited about it, but he didn't shoot nothing down, and he damn sure didn't tell her to her face that I'm not breaking my back for you. I ain't gonna help you put up jack nothing. You can kiss my entire behind, because I ain't helping you build nothing, because you ain't got my back and and I told you what to do, and if you don't respect me, I only respect people who respect me, and that's what I expect my love to come from, and all that foolishness that he talking about on that couch. What happened? What happened, Playboy? I thought this is what you said. You said that you're so offended that she sits on that couch and talks about you behind your back and says things about you behind your back. And you're so honest and you're so forthright. You sat there and spent this woman's entire 401k to help bail your wife, to bail your wife out. You spent this woman's entire retirement fund to bail your wife out and put your wife in a position where she could not only buy her first home, but buy a first home that she built from the ground up. That was all because of Janelle. And you have the audacity to sit there and say, after her sacrificing money year after year, giving her paycheck to you and the family, year after year, and still doing it, and being the only wife who doesn't have an actual house to her name, you have the audacity to look her in the face and say, I'm not willing to break my back and help you. Even though you've been breaking your back to help me. You've been sacrificing not only yourself, but the well-being of your children, because, Cody don't take credit for them kids. You've been sacrificing your children for my benefit and the benefit of my wife, but I'm not willing to give you anything to help you out. But you're a hypocrite. You're a gaslighter because you're calling me out on it. And this is the part that kind of gets me fired up. And this is part of the reason why I can't wait to do the lives. Now, what I want to talk about now is just simply ways and methods that I feel people can use to try to avoid these types of bad situations. The first thing is simply this. When you get into these conversations, you have to maintain a sense of integrity. You have to know what you're about. You have to know what the other person is about. And the best way for you to do that is for you to, one, be honest with yourself. If you're honest with yourself, I say this all the time about relationships. Before you get in a relationship, know who you are. Know what you want. Know what your limitations are. Know what your weaknesses are, your strengths are. Know everything about you before you go look for somebody else. But while you're in these relationships, whether it's friendships, boss-employee relationships, interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, whatever. When you're in these relationships, be honest with yourself, and that gives you the ability, if you're brutally honest with yourself, that you can be brutally honest with somebody else. And you can see them for who they are at the time. Not who you want them to be, not who you wish they were, but who they are at the time. And then once you get to the point where you can know yourself and you can know who they are, you get to take a good look at your situation and see where your situation is and be honest about your situation. This helps with that situational awareness, and I'm being very liberal with that term, but that situational awareness gives you the opportunity that when they tell you that this is what happened in this particular experience, you get to look at that critically, being honest with yourself, knowing them, and knowing what the situation is, and say, nah, that's not real. That's not real. And I have enough confidence in myself and knowing who I am and what I'm about. And I'm honest enough with myself and what I'm about. And I'm strong enough in that where I can look you in the face and say, that's not what happened. And that's not what's going on. Having this conversation, this is not an argument about Cody's COVID rules. This is an argument about Janelle hanging out with Christine. This is an argument about Janelle not being willing to blindly do what Kody tells her to do. That's what this argument is about. This argument with her kids is not about her kids. This argument with over her kids is, you need to tell your kids what I want them to do, and they need to do it, or you need to cut them off. That's the conversation. Janelle tries to pull it in, but he won't allow it to get pulled in. We have to be honest about the arguments that we're having. Don't buy into the bullshit. When people try to pull you into stuff, you can't win an argument that you don't know what it's about. and you guys are arguing about something, they may pick something that's important to you, but if it's not important to them, they have a clear advantage. If they come in and they're arguing with you about, like, they come in and they want to argue about your kids and you didn't know it was coming, 1, 2, you really care about your kids, and 3, they absolutely don't care about your kids, then they can go ham. They can go hard as a mother on that subject matter, and you are at a distinct disadvantage. And if you're arguing about something that doesn't matter, that doesn't mean anything to them, there's never going to be a resolution to that argument. And that's the other part of it. When you have these types of arguments, you have to understand that people are going to see you how they want to see you, and you have to be okay with it. When you can, no matter how many sacrifices you make, no matter what you give up, how much you give to them, or whatever the case may be, and how good a person you try to be to them, and you consider yourself to be a good person, they very well may look at you and not give you credit for any of the sacrifices you made, what you gave up, and the things that you've given to them, and they may see you how they want to see you. Here's the thing. If you're living your life to the best possible way you can, and you are trying to live to a high standard at all times, and you're doing the best that you can, what they feel about you and how they feel about you is their business, and it's none of your business. That's their right to feel how they want to feel. You do the best you can, and don't let people's misbehavior, misdiagnosis, mistreatment of you deter you from being the best you can in those relationships. Because they don't appreciate you being the ace player who want to stand by their man or stand by their lady 100%. You can find somebody who will appreciate you in that respect. Now, with regard to the ultimate thing with these types of arguments, I just simply say this, and this will be my last point. Make sure you quantify these types of relationships. You have to know what you're fighting for, and more importantly, you have to know what does it look like when I win? What am I going to get out of it? Ultimately, we go back and forth, and in the best case scenario, I say the thing I want to say, how I want to say it, and it trips them up, and I get that good move on them, and I win the argument. What am I going to get out of it? Or if you are with somebody and they consistently cheat on you, and you get an argument about that person cheating on you all the time, and you pull out all the tapes and all the evidence, and you got video, DNA, you got signed witness statements, you got all kinds of stuff, and they say, yeah, you're right, I totally cheated on you, you absolutely right. What are you going to do next? You won. Are you going to continue the relationship? Did you tell them all this to tell them that I no longer want to see you? I don't want to date you anymore? In which case, why did you waste your time in the argument? If you were okay with that, you have the proof. You know what it is. You don't need their validation that this is what you did. So a lot of times people get caught up in the argument, in the battle, that they lose sight of the fact that, okay, what happens if I win? Okay, fine. Janelle cussed him out. Or Christine, back in season 17, she cusses out Cody. She embarrasses him. He jumps up, cries like a baby, and runs off the porch. He, have his diaper hitting him, smacking the back of his leg. A diaper full. Okay. What's going to happen after that? She may feel good for a few moments, but did she win anything? What did she get out of it? And I know these are crazy conversations that I want to have on my live, so remember to subscribe, and that way you'll be notified when I go live. We're going to have all these kind of crazy talks, and they'll probably be way longer than the too long time that I put up for this video. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life.